Hey, what's going on, guys? Just going to do another video here. This is going to be a system build for a friend of mine, and it's going to be AMD based. It's actually going to be an AMD A8. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. It's going to be a 5600 series. Camera's having a hard time focusing on it through the plastic, but we're going to be using the Cooler Master 692 Advanced case, as you can see here. It's going to have 8 gigs of RAM, a DVD CD writer with M-Disk capability, which is pretty cool. Let's see, it's going to have a Asus Zonar sound card. It's going to have a Mushkin 120 gig SSD, a 2 terabyte Western Digital Caviar Green hard drive for storage, and a 500 gigabyte Western Digital Caviar Black for less recently used applications. So that way we have, more frequently used applications on the SSD as well as Windows. For the power supply, it's going to be a Corsair CX430, I believe. Kind of covered it up there, so I kind of can't see it, but I'm hoping that's what it is. If it's not that, I will correct that in the description. But so yeah. And for a monitor, we're going to be using an Asus. Did I say Asus before? I meant to say Asus. That's how you're supposed to say it. But anyway, it's an Asus VS238. So yeah, we go ahead and get started, and I'll get set up, and then I'll be right back. Hey, what's going on, guys? There's a few things I forgot to mention. Actually, the motherboard we're going to be using is a Gigabyte F2 A8 D3H, and we're going to be installing Windows 7 Home Premium on this system. So just give me a few more minutes and I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead with the installing the processor. Basically what you have to do is line up this little gold triangle right there with the one that's on the socket. It's a little triangle. It's not gold, but it's kind of recessed into the socket on the corner right here where my finger is. You got to make sure before you do that, though, you got to lift up the retention arm there. Otherwise, the processor won't be able to seat in there properly. So then you just take the processor, line it up, and then you just drop it right in there. And then once it's lined up, it just drops right in pretty snugly, actually. I guess that I don't know, pretty good, I guess you can say. You can apply, just rest your finger on it so it doesn't jump out. You usually won't. And then just slowly put the retention lever down, and then lock it in place like that. And now you got to install the heatsink, obviously, which is right over here, which is a plastic thing. There we go. Oops, dropping stuff here. Alright, you always want to take note of where the CPU's fan header is, which is actually, you probably can't see it. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit, maybe you'll be able to see it. It's actually, I can see it's right here. Yeah, I mean, you want to have the wire routing in that direction, which is usually a better idea. But usually if you can't, which in my case I won't be able to, but the wire's long enough because I want to be able to have the lever on this side, the farthest away from the top of the motherboard. So basically what you do now is you take the heatsink, which is this guy here, it's pretty basic. They're going back to basics with the newer CPUs. They're not as their thermal design point is actually a lot lower. For this one, I think it's 100 TDP, so it's actually a lot lower than my processor, which is the AMD 965, which is 125. They have, I think there's also 145 one too, but mine's a newer one, so I guess it's a little bit better off with that. So anyway, what you do is you just set the heatsink down like so. You got to make sure it's lined up, which it is. and then you just take one side. Well, I wasn't in the shop, I probably was. There we go. I think it doesn't look exactly lined up, but yeah. Gotta move it over a little bit. Ideally, you don't want to move the heatsink around on the. I'm probably in the shot, most likely. I'm hoping I'm not. Trying not to get my head in the shot if it's possible, but it's kind of difficult when you're trying to see what you're doing. Trying to keep you guys in the shot as well here. I also want to make sure this is unlocked. Which it looks like it is unlocked. Yeah. Yeah, it's unlocked, so it's not the problem. It's just me then. Most likely. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and install this off camera, and then I will come back when I'm done, because I don't want to have you guys sit through this while I try to fumble with this. So I will get this installed and I'll be right back. Alright guys, just as I said that, once I started to work with it off camera, I got this clip on this side. So I guess we can continue. Anyway, sorry about that. So now what you do is you take this, the other side, which you can't see because it's on the other side, but so yeah, you take the other side, you kind of hold this guy so it doesn't move around too much, and then you take this guy on this side and you push it down, and then once you do that, you take the lever and then you pull the lever down like so. There we go. Ow. And try not to hurt your finger at the same time. And there you go. Now the heatsink is installed. And you can, once there's pressure on the heatsink, I mean the CPU, you can kind of give it a little bit of a wiggle, just to get the thermal paste kind of seated, kind of smushed, for lack of a better term. Anyway, so, and also you want to make sure you install the 4-pin CPU fan header, and if the cord's a little long, which you can always do, you can always kind of tie a little, not like a huge knot or nothing like that, but just tie like a little knot, just to keep the wire out of the way of the fan. And then you stick the connector here and make sure you've got it oriented in the right proper orientation, because if you don't, it's not going in. There you go. In my case, I probably didn't have to put that like that, but just for safety measure, I did it anyway. So yeah, now we're going to go ahead and install the RAM. So let me just grab that real quick. Jeez, dropping stuff. The RAM's pretty straightforward. The RAM is pretty straightforward. I keep dropping stuff. Sorry about that, guys. So it's really easy. We're going to be using Corsair Vengeance series RAM. I don't know if you guys saw that in the previous part of the video. Not the previous, but the previous part of the video. But anyway, so this is the Vengeance series RAM. It's a 4 gig stick. We're going to be installing 8 gigs, so there's going to be 4 gigs times 2. So what you do is, first off, you make sure the camera's pointing at this. Actually it is. Should be good. Never mind. You make sure it's pointing at the RAM module, or slots I was going to say. So anyway, you just make sure these guys are undone, which they are. The ones that aren't being used, I usually clip them closed just because. And I believe this is going to be dual channel. These guys are dual channel. Most likely it's the one closest to the CPU, and then the one that's the same color, that's the furthest away is the other the first one you want to populate rather. And then you just take this guy, you kind of line them up. Make sure you can see what you're doing at the same time, because that would kind of help. There we go. And then you just make sure you're kind of lined up there. You want to have decent amount of support for the board when you're doing this. So then you just push down on one side, you push down the other. You got to make sure it's actually seated. There we go. This RAM's a little bit big, so I had to actually hold on to it. It's not big, but tall. Because I'm used to RAM that's actually right down where the PCB is, right there. But this actually extends up quite a ways, as you can see. So yeah. Alright, so I'm going to install the other module. Make sure it's in the proper orientation, which in my case it is not. Always want to check that first, by the way. Oh. Alright. That looks good. And okay. Now the RAM's installed. Now normally most people would say you really shouldn't do this outside the case, but if you have support like the motherboard box like I'm using right now, you should be fine. And I am grinding myself because this table, I don't know if you guys can't hear that, but hold on. That's metal. This is a metal, well, it has a granite top, but it's metal on the side. So I'm periodically touching the table to make sure I'm grounded. So yeah, why don't we get started installing this motherboard in the case. So just give me a few minutes to set up the case and I'll be right back. Alright guys, I got the case all prepared for the motherboard installation. Got the I/O shield installed. Got all my standoffs installed. This motherboard is actually, there is a spot right here. There's a spot on the board. There's a standoff hole here on the board and one here. But there's no spot in the case, which isn't a big deal. I actually, before, put one here and I realized as I was doing a test fit, off camera, that I put a standoff here and it didn't actually, the board didn't actually reach it, so I took it out. But let's go ahead and get this board installed. Now, the other reason why I installed the heatsink prior to putting the board in the case is that this is exactly why. You can actually do this. I know there's probably going to be a few people telling me, no, you shouldn't do that, you're going to put too much. This, first of all, it's held on by a clip. It's not going nowhere. This is the most sturdy point. Point. I know it's something. Just so you guys know that I didn't say porn. If you guys are wondering, I went to say point and I said porn. I don't even know what that means. It sounds like porn though. But anyway, moving on. See, now I'm gonna have to put a warning thing on my video about that. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. So you just line up the holes with your motherboard standoffs, making sure they're lining up. Mine are, there we go, almost lining up. They were close. This one's not lining up at the bottom here. There we go. Oh, crap. Yeah, I had it lined up till I moved it. There we go. And then once you have them lined up, you put the screws in and there you go. So yeah, let me just put the screws in off camera because it takes me forever to do stuff like this. So let me put the screws in, then we'll move on to the next step. All right, I'll be right back, guys. All right, guys, now we're going to move on to installing the sound card. Actually, that's the only expansion card that's going to be in this system. It doesn't really need a beefy graphics card or nothing like that. My friends are not going to be doing not really in gaming, so they want to watch movies and stuff like that, so gotta have a decent sound card for it, as far as I'm concerned anyway. So now you just take the sound card after you remove the little expansion backplate thingy, which I've already done, and also not lose the screw in the process, which I didn't know. I almost did though. Anyway, so I don't know if you can see that from here or not. I don't know if I can get that any closer. Let me see. I think that's about the best I can do. There you go. But it's going into the PCI Express 1 slot. Top one. So just like that. Pretty self-explanatory. Slides right in just like that. And you secure it with a screw once you're seated in there all the way, which it is now. I didn't want to go in there all the way. Now, in theory, these are thumb screws. They should be easy to put in, but yeah, we'll see. Not exactly easy when it doesn't want to line up. Look at that first shot I got it in. It's about time. Turn it down, make sure it's secure, which it is. Alright. So let me get the other components situated, and I will be right back, and we'll start up with the next step. Hey, what's going on, guys? Got the hard drives installed. Actually, I ditched the toolless drive method. It didn't really work out too well. Once you put the drives in, there's rubber grommets on this side here and here, and they kind of were sticking out too much where the drive wouldn't even slide into the actual bay. So yeah. So now you just slide them in like so. I'll make sure the thing's open first. Oh, also make sure it's on the rail. There we go. That. So if you guys are thinking about using the toolless drive mounting for this case, I wouldn't recommend it. Just not something. I mean, if you can get it to work good for you, if you can't, then don't. Just don't. That's all I can say, really. Oh, wait a minute. I'll put that down there. I'll put that here. Apparently I'm missing a drive payment. I'm also totally missing the nut there. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. Wait a minute. That should be right. Oh, okay, that is right. Never mind. Alright. So now, let's grab the SSD. Gotta love SSDs. I didn't have to use these are the grommets I'm talking about, by the way, for the 3.5-inch drives. Here and here. Yeah, when you install a drive, they kind of protrude. You see how they're flush there. They kind of like stick up to like where my finger is. You can see that. Kind of like, well, maybe that's over exaggerated, but you get the idea. So, yeah, go ahead and put this in, and wait a second. It seems like, did I put that in the wrong way? I think I did. Okay. Wait a minute. Not sure if I did or not. Guess we'll find out. I don't think you can put it on both ways. Nope. Doesn't look like it goes in that way. You can't do it that way. It's got to be the other way. So I'll just have to keep that in. Alright, hold on a second, guys. I'm going to check and see if I can flip this SSD around, because it looks like it's not installed right. Hold on one second. Alright, guys. Well, it has to be installed upside down, so that's where it's going to have to be. So, just slide it in just like you do the hard drives. Just like that. Make sure it's open. Snaps in. Bam. There you go. So, now I got to install the power supply, which is somewhere. I actually don't know. It's over there. So let me just do that, and let me just go get it, and I'll be right back. Alright, guys, I got a power supply here. See it? Bam. So yeah, I'm gonna slide this guy in. I'm actually gonna start with the fan facing down, because it's got if you can see that, it's got a nice little mesh intake there, which actually I think there's a filter for this. wondering if I should put that filter in or not. Actually, I'm not going to because of the fact that it's going to be a pain in the butt to clean it anyway. And I don't think it's going to intake that much dust. Hopefully not. If it does, we'll deal with that. But just on the power supply just like that. Make sure it's lined up to the edge of the case that you need it to be lined up to. Hope that you can actually do that. Alright. Should be lined up. Yes, maybe, kind of. Yes. Okay, good. And then you just use the screws, obviously, to put it in. This power supply is kind of semi-modular, not fully, unfortunately. And again, it doesn't really need to be for this case. This thing's getting heavy already. I just moved the power supply out of its location I needed it in. Alright. Hope you guys can see that. Can you guys see that? Hardly. But let me try that again here. Let's see. Let's see it. Hold on a second. It's not very good for the hard drives. Alright, so just line it up like that. Oh, that's interesting. Hold on. Let me see if I can slide it. Oh, I see. I'm looking at the holes, how it's supposed to mount, and I see what we got here. Alright, so it's got 2 mounting points. Okay, where is the... Okay, the screws are here. Jeez. Okay. Plenty of zip ties. And of course we've got the, like, I guess must-have black screws for this overall black build. It's going to be like a very stealthy build. It's done. Alright guys, we gotta mount this power supply now. Got it all lined up. So, yeah, shouldn't be too hard to do. Alright guys, got the power supply installed. I'll get on to the next step, and I'll get to the next step when I come back. Alright guys, now we're just going to go ahead and plug in the data and power cables to my motherboard. I got most of my cables routed the way I would need them. Trying to get the shot too much. Let's see what I'm doing here. So. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wire up the drives for data and power. Alright guys, so as you can see, I've got the cable management going here. It's not the prettiest, but probably could have did a better job. I did use zip ties though, as you can see. So I'm going to try to get the side panel on this way because I can't do it on the desk. So yeah, and then after that should be able to power the system up for the first time. So give me a few minutes, I'll be right back. Alright guys, I got everything all squared away. Now, earlier in the video, you guys saw me plug the CPU fan into that header up there. Well, as you can see, it says system fan. I had issues with it shutting off. And by default, the BIOS does not have CPU fan failure warning enabled, so it doesn't beep. And I kept wondering why it was getting really hot. Well, if you look down here, I don't know if you can see that or not. No, can't see it from that angle. Hold on a second. Yeah. There you go, now you can see. Stupid light. There you go, there you can see it. It says, see, turn the light on full, there we go. And as you can see, it says CPU fan. It's down where a system fan would normally be. So, word of advice, make sure you check your work before you turn your system on. Luckily, these CPUs, they will shut down if they get too hot. So, yeah. So, I'm going to go ahead and install Windows on this, and then once I get the installation done, I'll get back with you guys and show you the final product. Hey, what's going on guys? Got the computer all set up. This is the finished product. You know, Windows is installed, all the programs are installed. Give you guys a quick overview of the system. We've got 2 USB ports, well, 2 USB 3 ports, 2 USB 2 ports, front audio connections, optical drive with MDISC capability. I saw that earlier in the video. And we have front LED fan, 140mm, and then we got this little hotspot bay, which is always good. So just a little SATA data connection and a power. It's always handy for these kind of drives if you don't have an enclosure for them. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.